What's going on, guys? Bengal again here, coming back at you with another video today, doing another mock draft. You guys have really enjoyed them on the channel so far this year, so if you are a fan of mock drafts, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free. You can always unsubscribe, although I hope that you don't. We're going to be talking about the 2021 NFL draft today, the first round based on the current projected draft order based on team record. That's how we're doing it. I want to get a little bit crazy. I don't want to go based on what chalk could be. I'm thinking about some outside shot possibilities, and it's going to be a fun one. Took a long time to assemble this, but I've already made the draft, and now to build it for you guys here as we talk through each pick. Jets at number 1. I'm going Trevor Lawrence. I think this is a clear-cut, very obvious decision here. Trevor Lawrence is the best player in the entire draft, and even with Sam Darnold, we hear Jets fans talk about all the time, oh man, if Sam Darnold could just get some talent around him, he'd be incredible. And while that may be true that he would be better, in reality, Sam Darnold is still making so many mental mistakes. I know he has not been playing lately because of injury, but Darnold is not the quarterback prospect a lot of guys thought he could be. It's time to label him a bust and move on. Doesn't mean he can't be effective somewhere down the line, but it's not going to be for this Jets team. Going Trevor Lawrence here at 1. And then at number 2, Justin Fields. Like Minshew has been okay for the Jags, and I know with injury now, Jake Luton has been playing fairly well, honestly, but you can't rely on those guys going forward. I think you need to take the best player available in Justin Fields. Fields is a really, really strong prospect, and you really just can't think of Trevor Lawrence as 1A and Justin Fields as 1B. I get that. Lawrence is a very superior prospect, in my opinion. Fields is very, very good, though. And it's just because Trevor Lawrence appears to be so perfect as a QB prospect that Fields seems a little bit worse in comparison, but Fields would be the best player in the draft in a lot of other draft classes. I think that's very safe to say. Really talented player, and the Jags get themselves a really good player here at number 2. Football team at number 3. Another tough spot because they're in between two positions. You have the best player available in Penei Sewell, best tackle in the draft by a lot right now, but you also really need a quarterback. You can't rely on Alex Smith going forward. The team clearly has no interest in Dwayne Haskins going forward. So what do you do if you're Washington football team? Well, as much as I think Penei Sewell will be a great choice here, I am going to go for a quarterback, and that's going to be Zach Wilson out of BYU. He's played so well for them this year. He has a very good combination of athleticism as well as arm strength. His passes just really zip in there, and that is a trait that you really look for. Tight spiral, strong arm. It's amazing, really, to watch him play. And the competition level has not been super high, of course, with BYU, but he's played really, really well. And for the quarterback position, you kind of have to look past competition level a little bit because you want to see how well do they go through reads, what their arm strength is, do they recognize pressure when it comes in, can they make plays? And Zach Wilson checks a lot of those boxes. So it's not really so much about the competition, but it is, can he read defenses and can he make the throws that he needs to make? Can he be accurate and consistent? And I think he's shown that so far this year. So Zach Wilson, coming back from injury last year or 2 years ago, has blossomed into this great prospect, and Washington football team really can't afford to pass on him. Cowboys at number 4. I think Penei Sewell makes a lot of sense here. I really do. Just best offensive lineman available. Tyron Smith has a ton of injury concerns. La'el Collins is out for the season. But then you realize those guys are signed for the next 4 or 5 years, and they're two of the best at their position in the league. And Penei Sewell is going to fall. I'm going for Patrick Surtain, who, it's so funny. Some guys just try to say I'm mispronouncing that. Clearly don't know Patrick Surtain Sr. It's Surtain. I wish it was Surtain. It looks like it is. It's not. It's Surtain. Really good player. Not overrated. He's got great size, decent athlete, and he's probably the best press man corner in the draft by a lot. Really, really solid player overall. And I don't understand why people say he's overrated. Yeah, he can get beat off the line on the inside a little bit. And the biggest knock on him, like with CJ Henderson last year, is that he's not an extremely aggressive tackler. But with a corner, you really aren't looking run defense first. You want them to lock down opposing receivers. You can deal with the rest, especially when they have athletic linebackers. Cowboys, I think, would be very wise in taking Surtain here. I think he's a franchise caliber corner. And with Chidobe Awuzie headed for free agency, they might bring him back, but they might not. Got to look to go corner here. Trayvon Diggs has been up and down as a rookie, as you'd expect. And, you know, after the team didn't re-sign Byron Jones, maybe they won't sign Awuzie back. So got to look cornerback. Either way, can never really have too many good corners. And having 2 or 3 solid ones would certainly be a fit here for this Cowboys team that really has struggled heavily with their secondary this year. And at number 5, this is a super quick one. Penei Sewell, best tackle in the draft, probably a top 3 player in the draft. Chargers need a left tackle. Sam Tevi's starting there. It's not great. Sewell is a great player. You got to protect Herbert going forward, and they do just that. Moving on. This is an interesting one. I'm not going Jamar Chase here. I'm going Jalen Waddle. Of course, if you followed me on Twitter over the past 2 years, you know I am the biggest Jalen Waddle fanboy on the planet. However, his athleticism, his ability to run after the catch is unmatched, in my opinion, in the draft by a lot. Jamar Chase is a really, really good player, but I don't think he fits this Dolphins team quite as well as Jalen Waddle does. We are reuniting Tua Tagovailoa, and yes, it is Tagovailoa, not Tagovailoa. AG with the Hawaiian names is Ung, just like the Clemson QB, DJ Uiagalelei, excuse me. It's Ung. I don't know why, but it is. So Jalen Waddle reunites with his Alabama teammate, and he was so good with Tua in Miami. I think it's a great fit, and especially when you look at the receivers for Miami, you see Preston Williams, big jump ball receiver. You see Devontae Parker, big outside receiver. Bringing in Jamar Chase, a guy who's more naturally fitted on the outside, I don't really think it makes as much sense as Jalen Waddle, who is elite after the catch, who can go up down the field, catch jump balls, high point the football, really. He really does a great job catching outside his frame. Huge catch radius. Waddle's a stud, but his best attribute is what he can do after the catch. You line him up in the slot, get him the football, even set him up on bubble screens and things from the slot. Waddle could be super, super effective because although he is extremely fast and can stretch the field for you, it is unmatched how explosive he is with no time at all. Like on a drop of a dime, Jalen Waddle can go, from point A to point B. He is so agile, so elusive, so explosive. I think he makes more sense for this Dolphins team, in my opinion. However, Bengals can't pass on Jamar Chase. They're going to do the exact same thing that the Dolphins did and reunite Joe Burrow with his stud receiver. Makes a ton of sense. Jamar Chase was much better than Justin Jefferson at LSU with Joe Burrow, and we see what Justin Jefferson has done in the NFL so far. He's been incredible. Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow, match made in heaven. You can't rely on AJ Green long term. He's older. T. Higgins has played well. I get that. John Ross is looking like a bust. And then Tyler Boyd's a good slot receiver. With offenses mainly running 3 wide receiver sets nowadays in the NFL, you need 3 good receivers, and Jamar Chase makes a ton of sense. Play him on the outside right away. He'll be a stud. My favorite team now, the Giants at number 8. This was a tough pick for me because there are still some really, really good players on the board. And I think the Giants maybe would have gone receiver if either of these guys were available at 6 or who went at 6 and 7 and Waddle and Chase, 2 SEC studs. And I think Micah Parsons is super tempting here at number 8. Help out at linebacker. But for me, the Giants need to prioritize edge based on what they have right now. They have 3 nose tackles who are incredible. And I know you don't really have 3 nose tackles on a defensive line. But that's the personnel. Dexter Lawrence, nose tackle. Playing 3-4 defensive end. Dalvin Tomlinson, nose tackle. Leonard Williams, basically a nose, athletic nose at that. Playing 3-4 defensive end. What do they have on the edge? They don't really have a true edge stud, true unreal pass rusher, and Gregory Rousseau has the potential to blossom into that. He could be incredible. Frame, athleticism, strength. Rousseau is fantastic. Only reason he's dropping this far is because he sat out the season, and we only really get to see 1 year of dominance from him. But Rousseau was so incredible last year, I think the Giants would be quite lucky to get a player like him at number 8. And then at number 9, Micah Parsons. I mean, this is a dream fit for the Panthers. Thought about maybe a tight end here in Kyle Pitts just because of how dynamic he is. But Parsons is a really good player. Can play strong side linebacker for you. Can rush the passer. Really elite in space. He fills the lane so well in different run fits. He just gets to places that other linebackers would not be able to get to. And that is a super, super rare thing to find. Parsons is a great player. helps out this Panthers linebacking core, helps out their defense overall as we get to a team that really does need defense. And they're in between two players, in my opinion. Now, I know we just talked about defense, but Trey Lance is available. And Matt Ryan's not going to be around forever. But I've decided that Matt Ryan's still playing really good football. Maybe you wait another year on a quarterback. You don't know where you're going to be. And the bottom line is for the Falcons, their defense is not good at all. They're not good. They need to go best defensive player available for their needs. And while it could be Caleb Farley, we're going to give him Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Had no interest in bringing back Takk McKinley. Didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Eventually ended up just straight cutting him. But now they replace him. New edge rusher in there is Kwity Paye, who's looked pretty good so far for Michigan in limited opportunities because Michigan has played, what, 4 games all year? If that, I think they're 0-4. It hasn't looked good for them, but he's looked pretty good. Broncos at number 11. Interesting one for them. I am going to give them cornerback Caleb Farley. Michael Ojemudia has looked pretty good. There was a time where he got exposed early on in the year. Maybe it should have been offensive pass interference, but he got beat for a huge touchdown. But that really hasn't been the case the rest of the year. Ojemudia has been pretty solid, has flashed at times, has been really good for them. But to get someone on the other side, and especially like Farley, who's a supreme athlete, who looks so fluid in coverage, could transition into the slot, although I think that'd be a waste. I think Farley moves on the outside, fits in super well in this Denver secondary. Caleb Farley to the Broncos. And then at number 12, this is an interesting team because the Niners are a really good team. They've just dealt with so many different injuries. But for me here, I think the value of Trey Lance is too good to pass up. Doesn't seem like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be their guy going forward. He's constantly injured, and even when he's on the field, he isn't really playing up to that level that the 49ers would probably like him to be playing at. I think Jimmy forces them to be so run-oriented, although when they have all their guys and they're healthy, their run game is unstoppable. I think adding a quarterback like Trey Lance with his athleticism could be reminiscent of Colin Kaepernick in his heyday, in his prime, which was that playoff run. And I don't think Colin Kaepernick was some great quarterback, but when you see the athleticism of Trey Lance and what he's capable of doing at North Dakota State, you say, hey, maybe this guy can be the same type of playmaker that Kaepernick was for a time. I'm not some big Kaepernick fanboy, don't get me wrong, but you have to acknowledge that there was a time, even if it was just a 4-5 game stretch, where Kaepernick played as like one of the best playmakers in the NFL. And Trey Lance could be that in San Francisco. Just kind of making the San Fran connection there. That's the only thing I'm getting from it. Lions at number 13. Another weird spot. The Lions are constantly a team that's in a weird limbo of being bad and being good, where they're like about a 7-win team every year. And they could get up to 9 wins. Maybe they go down to 5. Depending on how a couple games go. I think the Lions are a decent team who's just a couple pieces away, but we've been saying that for years. We need to get Matthew Stafford some weapons, though, at the end of the day, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to give him Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota, keep him in the general area up in the north, and I think Bateman teaming up with Matthew Stafford would be a great combo, and it's not that Kenny Golladay is not good, it's not that Marvin Jones isn't good, even though you do need 3 good receivers. They're both free agents. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay very well could be going to different teams in 2021. Maybe one will be gone. Maybe both will be gone. They have 5 receivers that are impending free agents. You need to draft a receiver. Rashad Bateman to the Lions. Number 14. I know a lot of Vikings fans would love a quarterback here. And I think Kyle Trask does make some sense at this spot. They could trade Kirk Cousins. They could eventually cut him after 2 years, but I think they're not going to be ready to do that. They're in constant need of offensive line help, especially on the interior. Garrett Bradbury seems to be a fantastic center so far for them, but I'm going to continue to do the same move that I've done for a while, which is give them Wyatt Davis. I think for a team that may or may not take a quarterback, will choose to not take a quarterback because of Cousins' contract. It would be a difficult player to trade, and it's not like he's an elite quarterback. I think the Vikings are kind of in a weird spot. I think they're just going to continue to play it out, see how it goes, and then maybe look to draft a quarterback in 2021 or 2022. I know Vikings fans want a quarterback here. Just bear with me. I don't think that's the answer yet. Things could change in future mock drafts, but Wyatt Davis will be my pick for right now. And at number 15, the Patriots will not hesitate. based on the way this board goes. Kyle Pitts is the clear and obvious choice. They drafted 2 tight ends in the 3rd round last year in Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, I want to say was the other one. Kyle Pitts is a dynamic playmaker who is unlike either of those guys. And I know Izzo is getting a bunch of play time at tight end. They need a weapon. They don't need these random fill-ins. They need a weapon to make this offense incredible again. And Pitts, people got on me for saying he's not a tremendous route runner. He's not. He's very fast, and he can high point the football. So when he goes against a cornerback and he doesn't get that separation, it's not a surprise, but it doesn't matter. When he goes up against a linebacker, he can run faster than them. He is not polished as a route runner, which you wouldn't expect him to be, but he's so athletic, and his hands have developed so much in the past year. He couldn't really catch for Florida much last year. Drops were a big issue. This year, they seem non-existent. Pitts is incredible and could go a lot higher than this if a team wants to take a chance, like the Panthers at 9. That seems like it's kind of it. I mean, the Falcons need more help on defense. The Broncos have Fan and Okwe Ibenam. The Niners have Kittle. The Lions took Hawkinson top 10. At 14, the Vikings have a nice combo in Kyle Rudolph. And my guy out of Alabama, Irv Smith Jr., loved him coming out. He's been pretty good so far. So I'm not sure that they look to take tight end here. Kyle Pitts falls to 15, and the Patriots are extremely thankful to get maybe their next Gronk. A more athletic Gronk, can't run block as well. Obviously, tough to say he'd be the type of playmaker Gronk was with Brady. But Pitts is a really, really solid player. And I think a really good fit for this Patriots team, who clearly needs help on offense. Dante Hightower will be coming back. They got guys who are coming back next year who have opted out, who could help this defense become a lot better. Patriots could be really, really good next year. I know quarterback makes sense here with Trask maybe, but we're going with a different Kyle. We're going Kyle Pitts. And then at 16, the Bears really need a quarterback. Foles' experiment did not work out. Mitchell Trubisky seems like a bust. But when I watch the Bears play, and I see their bad quarterback play, I do. But to me, it's their offensive line. That's their biggest weak point right now. They have Charles Leno starting. They have a poor offensive line. I know James Daniels being hurt hurts them at left guard, but they need offensive line. And why not take one of the fastest risers in the draft in Christian Darrisaw, who's looked like the best tackle in the country for Virginia Tech so far this season? Obviously, we've seen a lot more ACC than other conferences like the Pac-12 or Penei Sewell is, but Darrisaw has been incredible. And I know this could easily be a quarterback. I get that. I'm being a little bit crazy outside the box. I know they need offensive line almost as much, if not more, than they need quarterback. And Darrisaw will be my pick. Next up, got the Browns at 17. I'm going Dylan Moses. I think he's a prototypical Mike linebacker. Can come in, be a thumper for them. Has great athleticism. Is decent in coverage as well. I think he would pair really well with Mack Wilson. 2 Alabama boys getting back together. Browns get a really good player in Moses, who, coming back from an ACL injury, could be only at the bottom of his potential peak. 18. Get the Tennessee Titans on the board. And I am going with Joseph Osai, edge out of Texas. This is a great 3-4 outside linebacker fit for them. Osai is a really good player. I've seen every snap of his career. He is fantastic for Texas. And he's someone with, elite movement in space for an edge rusher. He's blossomed as an edge rusher, but this is a guy who can be a lot more than that. Be a versatile player for this Titans team. We got the Eagles at number 19. And this was a tough pick as well, but I've decided to give them Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the same reasons that they like Davion Taylor. I think they would definitely like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's looked great for Notre Dame so far this year, and you can never have too much athleticism at linebacker. And Owusu-Koramoah is certainly a better day one prospect than Davion Taylor, even though they're very similar players in my opinion. But with Owusu-Koramoah, you get a better player than Nate Gary right away, I'll tell you that much. Cardinals at number 20, giving them a corner, and it's going to be Eric Stokes. One of my favorite players in the draft, honestly. Every time you see Eric Stokes play, he's making a play. He's really, really good. I've been saying for a while he's a better cornerback than Tyson Campbell. Finally, TDN upgraded their predictive board. Eric Stokes is just fantastic. He really is. I think he's certainly a top 20 player in this draft. Play him on the outside. Have Byron Murphy play naturally in the nickel. And then, when Patrick Peterson's day has come, you get a true CB1 in Eric Stokes, in my opinion. I think he's a really good player. Jets at 21. Easy pick here. We're going Devontae Smith. Really good value at this spot. He's a good player. Separates at an elite level. He's a little light. I think he's only about 6'1", 175. But doesn't really seem to matter. He has the speed. He can catch the football with the best of them. Devontae Smith pairs nicely with another offensive player the Jets took in this draft, and Trevor Lawrence. They get a big, big weapon for Trevor Lawrence. At number 22, we get the Dolphins back on the clock. And they're in an interesting spot. They've been playing really well this year. This draft pick keeps getting later and later and later for them, which is what you like to see. And bottom line is they need a center. They need a center really, really bad. And Creed Humphrey was very solid for Oklahoma a couple years ago, has continued to play pretty well. Creed Humphrey at 22, I think, makes a lot of sense. Colts at number 23. This is another tough one because Phillip Rivers isn't going to be around forever. Jacoby Brissett's their backup right now, and then Jacob Eason behind him. And I talked about this last time. It seemed like it was kind of missed in translation for some of you. I know Jacob Eason isn't the player that's starting for them right now. He's a QB3, but he is a young player that they drafted just last year. I'm not sure they'd be ready to draft another QB over him, maybe continue to develop him in their system for another year and see what he's capable of when the time comes. Because I think Jacob Eason is more fit to be a starting quarterback than Jacoby Brissett for that team. I don't think it's a QB. They need a lot of help on the edge. The guys are either old or bad. I mean, that's the only way to say it. Old or bad in Indianapolis. They need a true edge threat, and that's going to be Azeez Ojulari. He is awesome for Georgia, and it's nice to see, and of course it's unrelated to what I've said, I'm sure, but it's nice to see the Draft Network upgrade guys based on my suggestions, even though I'm sure it is not based on my suggestions. I'm sure it's just random, but let's talk about how Brenton Cox needed to be added in. Now he's in. Azeez Ojulari moved a lot up the board, and I think these were things that needed to happen. These guys have played super, super well, and they deserve to not only be on the board, but higher up it. So Azeez Ojulari moved up quite a bit. I think he's probably the second or third best edge in the draft. Colts take him. They need him badly. Ravens at 24. Defense could be a need, but to me, I'm always going to give them offensive line. I see how much Lamar Jackson has struggled with Marshall Yanda being gone. They need line help so badly, and I think offensive line help on the interior is the spot they need to look. Ronnie Stanley injured. Orlando Brown Jr. has not looked incredible with Marshall Yanda not on the inside anymore. So maybe get someone that can be a big help on the inside. And with Pac-12 football coming back, Elijah Vera Tucker has looked awesome. Now, he's someone I believe has played left tackle, mainly. They say he's aligned at left guard. I think he's played a lot of tackle. But someone that could fit in well at guard, maybe has the versatility to fit in. And the Ravens need that a lot. It's interior offensive line here for me all day. At 25, we got the Jags back on the clock. I believe this is, the Rams pick from Jalen Ramsey? Ram. And this is an interesting one because I considered a bunch of different players here for a while. I really did. I think it's really in between two. But what it comes down to for me is that Sam Cosmi is still on the board and is one of the better tackles in this class. I thought about safety, but safety just really isn't a position we see going all that high in the draft anymore. And even though I love Javon Holland, I think Paris Ford's a really good player. Both of them in that maybe traditional free safety spot, even Richard LeCount. But Cosmi is a bigger need for the Jaguars right now with Cam Robinson not being great, and also his contract is running out. At 26, have the Raiders up, and they need interior offensive line help quite a bit as well. I think Trey Smith makes sense. Could this be also a right tackle? Yeah. They have, so many guys out because of coronavirus. But I think with Colton Miller looking a lot better at left tackle, and they have Trent Brown, assuming he comes back, they got some good tackles. They just got some fill-ins right now. So this has to be interior offensive line. I like Gabe Jackson, but at left guard, you really don't have much. Like Richie Incognito is super old. They got some fill-ins playing right now. I think Trey Smith is your immediate answer at left guard when Richie Incognito's gone. At 27, got the Bucs here. I thought about giving them defensive help, but I think you just really need to continue to build your offensive line to protect Brady and build that offense. And the best player, the best fit available for me right now is going to be Jalen Mayfield. Fits in super well. He's played great for Michigan so far. Really, really solid player. And I don't think that Donovan Smith is your answer at left tackle, not by a long shot. You picked a right tackle last year in the first round at, what, 13? And Tristan Wirfs has looked like an all-pro. Why not get someone to be a bookend on the other side and two young, great tackles for years to come, even after Brady's gone? We'll see who their quarterback is in the future, but I think Mayfield makes a lot of sense. I like Liam Eichenberg a lot here as well. I think Alex Leatherwood has fallen down quite a bit. We get the Bills here at number 28. I thought about a bunch of different players here as well. Thought this could be tackle, but J.C. Horn has played so well this year that I am going to put him in the first round, and I think number 28 is maybe even a bit low for him. But Horn fits in real well as maybe the Bills finally get a true number one on the outside of Tre'Davious White. When I was talking about Washington football team on my last mock, or maybe 2 mocks ago, I talked about Washington football team having no real threats at receiver. I thought it was clear that was outside of Terry McLaurin, who's incredible, but I didn't dictate that well enough. So I understand the confusion, but yes, I know Tre'Davious White plays on the Bills. They need someone outside of him. J.C. Horn could be that guy. Packers at number 29. Another tough one, but for me, got to help out that offense. I know the defense is really bad, but they don't really have a ton of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Devontae Adams is a stud. Don't get me wrong. Marquez Valdes-Scantling can run down the field past anybody, but if he can catch, is a completely different story. And what else do you have at receiver? Not much. Equanimeous St. Brown playing too much? Yes. Alan Lazard's okay, but why not get a do-it-all weapon in Rondale Moore? Line him up in the slot. He's a more explosive, athletic Randall Cobb for this team. And while he offers more than Randall Cobb did, maybe he doesn't have quite the hands, Moore is a weapon. Can take handoffs, can take screens, can return kicks, can stretch the field. Moore is awesome. Chiefs at number 30. This was another tough one, but they're so weak at linebacker that Jabril Cox is the pick for me. One of the best zone-covered linebackers in the draft. Fits well for the Chiefs here at 30, who are so weak at linebacker. At 31, have the Saints. And I'm going quarterback. I think some guys think that Jameis Winston is the answer, but Jameis isn't it. Kyle Trask, learning under Drew Brees and under Sean Payton in that system for a year would be awesome for his development. He's looked incredible for Florida here. He's been awesome. He's setting records in the SEC. Kyle Trask has been phenomenal. There are some questions whether he's elite arm strength or not. I don't think it's elite. I think it is above average. But bottom line is he can read defenses and he can make the correct throw with accuracy, ball placement. He's poised in the pocket. Am I describing Drew Brees? Kyle Trask at Florida this year has looked like Drew Brees in the NFL. Trask is a really solid player, and he has more prototypical size. He's 6'5", 240. Maybe questions about his athleticism, but that won't matter. Go get under Sean Payton. I think the Saints have an incredible QB of the future. And that will round things out with the Steelers at number 32. I think this will be an offensive lineman. You have Alejandro Villanueva is a free agent. You need to boost that linebacking, an offensive line group anyway. If I said linebacker at any point, that's a mistake. But Liam Eichenberg is going to be my pick for the Steelers. Solid player. Has anchored that Notre Dame offensive line. And that is clearly going to be my pick, as that is my first round of the NFL draft. If you guys want to see me come back with a 2-round mock draft, I'd be very happy to do so. Maybe even more down the line. Maybe even a mock draft with trades. Could do that. So go ahead and subscribe if you're excited for that. Let me know down in the comment section what you want to see next. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Insane, I hit it at the park, Ben Bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, yeah. I'ma turn taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speedbird's good.